Okay, good evening. This is July 30th, and this is the Board of Sewer Commissioners meeting, and I'm going to call the meeting to order. However, there does not appear to, oh, there is a quorum present. Hold on, people.
We're waiting on you. You're the quorum.
Good. Okay, it appears that we do have a quorum present. Two of our members are meeting with Ty and Bond down at the sewer plant, so they may come or may not come depending on how long that meeting runs. That's regarding the new user rates. So I am going to call the meeting to order, and I will need a clerk pro tem.
So it's my job.
Okay, if you can make the motion to have,
Oh, I'll make a motion definitely that Mac assumes the duties and responsibilities of clerk pro tem.
okay, I will second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Mr. White, you are our clerk pro tem this evening.
Okay, roll call. Jim DeVerde,
Present.
Marilyn Jordan,
Present?
Malcolm White here.
Okay, in our folders from Rebecca, we have the June 25th meeting minutes. I don't know if everyone has had a chance to look at them. We can take a few minutes and read through them if you'd like.
I wasn't here, so.
Okay, what do you think,
I'll
Jim?
make a motion the meetings be accepted as presented.
Yeah, I'll second that.
All those and so we are going to approve the June 25th meeting minutes as written. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? That's done. Is there anyone here for citizens' participation? Good evening. If you'd state your name.
Good evening, George Barrett, Chairman of the Planning Board. And I just had a brief discussion with Guy. We've had a question come up on the Bay Point project. The applicant has proposed individual pumps for more than half of their project. And I wanted to have a discussion. I assumed it would be directed at Guy, but I said I would come to the sewer commissioners and see if you folks felt one way or the other on how it should be handled. The planning board's inclined to have them do a gravity main on the property and then one pump station out. The applicant has represented they'd like to do it, with individual pumps. So what, you want a pump for each unit, George?
Yeah, most of the the duplexes and the
Yeah.
3 and 4s are going to go gravity into the existing
Yeah.
pump station, which belong or is shared by the condos and the country club. But the housing from
Bay Point Drive left back toward Onset Ave is proposed individual pumps for each unit.
What do you think, Guy?
Mr. Clerk, the gravity system that's in existence at the pump station, I believe, as I looked at the plans quickly, some of them are going to use the E1 pumps. As far as I'm concerned, and I think I had this discussion with the board in the previous, I think Chairman Brock asked me my preference. I said, personally, it makes more sense to me for a couple of reasons. A, I get no rags and baby wipes and those sort of things that tend to raise heck with our system, and it's macerated, so those grinder pumps have maceration ability, so when I get it, it's a homogeneous product that causes me no harm. So that's a personal preference if I was going to do one for myself. However, as far as the contractors goes, my jurisdiction lies once it hits the street. I have no opinion one way or the other as to what he needs to do. That's his call. I'll review his decision when he makes it and see how it impacts the treatment plant. My concerns would be if all those pumps went on at one time, I think maybe 12, 13, 14 went on one time, how would that affect me when it hit the when it hit the manhole? Those are the kind of questions that I'm going to ask to assure that it's mitigated at our end. But when it comes to the actual use of E1s, they're everywhere. We have them in our own town, and they're owned by the residents of the town. Our last 2 sewer projects, where the low areas are, we put them in. We gave them to the homeowners. They own them. They maintain them. It's there. So the technology is there. So to answer your question directly, Mr. Commissioner, to me, it's not my call. It's if the board chooses to have a policy regulating E1 pumps, or in this E1's generic for the technology, but to minimize or eliminate or whatever E1 pumps, we have to be conscientious of the pumps we have existing. And maybe it could go be after that. That's your call, and I certainly don't want to get into that. But I have no issue with them. I just want to make sure it doesn't impact us. You know, that's what I want to make sure of.
So this gravity pump that you would like to see put in, or the planning board would like to see, that would be on their property, or would that?
I don't know, they haven't given us a plan that would show that arrangement, but I would say yes, if they were putting a central pumping station, it would have to be on their property pumping into the town main.
And do you think that the town has jurisdiction over that, Mr. Barrett?
Well,
Can we tell a private developer on his own private land to, if he's doing something that isn't not used or something that's detrimental, perhaps, but if this is used all the time and it's best business practice to use it, how can we come up and say, no, you can't do that?
Well, our thoughts are that those pumps are an accepted practice, but it's usually where you have high water tables or issues like that to deal with. He doesn't have it here. And we think it would be a burden on potential property owners there to have to maintain all these pumps and switch gear and lack of service when you have no electricity, all those other factors.
Okay.
You know, we would rather see him do it something that would work a little simpler than having, I think, 65 pumps where you could do it with 2. But as far as you know, this board and Guy, you don't really, I think we all acknowledge that both systems work. It's just kind of a preference as to, you know, we think it would make a better project if you didn't have all these individual pumps.
Yeah, I agree with you on the maintenance side, George, because
Yeah.
We're trying
if
to
it's
save
all
the-
individual, we don't have a lot to say.
We're trying to save the ratepayers money, and then if we go with the individual pumps, all we're doing is raising their costs.
Your mic,
Oops.
Jim, pull it forward.
I just said, no.
Turn it
No, I
on.
just said that we're trying to save ratepayers money wherever we can. If we go with individual pumps, all we're doing is increasing their costs. And do they have a central pump if this was all gravity fed? Do they have a grinder pump big enough to take the inflow and handle it on the same basis that the individual units would?
It would be up to to answer your question, through you, Madam Chair, it would be up to they would have to upgrade or size the existing pump station accordingly. It all could be done, every bit of that is doable.
Well-
And they do make grinder pumps that large.
Well, then if it's
We found them to be
doable,
ineffective,
you know,
but
I think that would be a
it's all
recommendation
doable.
that we should have.
So if it were one central pump station, they don't normally put the grinder feature into it?
We have, well, to answer your question, Madam Chairman, through you, we have grinder pumps in our large stations. They still clog up. They still, I mean, we spend a lot of time deragging pumps. There's a video we did of deragging a large pump in Hathaway. It's a maintenance nightmare for us. So what I'm saying is, because it's an 1.25 line coming from the building, the macerator pumps are designed to grind it to send it through. So when that product comes to us, then it doesn't cause any impact to our pumping system, because all they're going to do is throw it to the manhole and gravity to us. So if you got big pieces or whatever the case may be, our pumps have to handle it. So again, even the E1 pumps that we presently have in town, that we install for homeowners, that they have the same problems that we're talking about, electric power outages, maintenance. We have an individual now repairing all of it on themselves, pumps, control panels. Even then, I want to say that I like the product. I don't like the maintenance that the homeowner has to have. Trust me, I don't, but I love the product it gives to us. And so that's a selfishness as a director or a superintendent of the wastewater, because it makes our life easier. It's more cost efficient for us. That's the selfish side of it. And so my point is for me, once it comes to the street, I get involved. And that's where I'm coming from. And I have no preference one or the other as far as what the builder should do. That's between him and the planning board and whoever. But just my opinion on the technology, gosh.
Yeah, if they go with one central collection,
It's mostly pass-through.
yeah, do they maintain that? Private
Yes.
maintain?
Yes, the private would have to we maintain nothing. When they first came to us a couple of years ago, they asked me if I wanted it. And I was very clear. I said, as far as I'm concerned, they would have to come to the board, but I don't want to own nothing. I don't want the pumps, I don't want their lines, I don't want their manholes, I don't want to own anything, because I want it to be their responsibility, not ours.
Madam Chairman, so basically, you'd like to see Mr. Barrett, you'd like to see the gravity-fed ones, right?
I think the board has agreed that they would rather see them.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I know what you're saying, Guy, but I would much rather see the gravity-fed lines myself. Because, for the power outages and, the maintenance for the homeowner and everything else is,
This is a condo situation, sort of this is
You have
more
a
or less a...
combination of condos and private ownership.
Right, so they're paying condo fees for whatever they have, whether it's sewage or septic or whatever. So the onus is on them to fix these pumps, keep these pumps up and running, and a generator for backup if they need backup electricity. When they came in front of the planning board, what's the next step do you see, Mr. Barrett, as far as, are you looking for us to make a ruling that they can't put E1 pumps in this town? Because we really can't do that. We have them in our own system. I have one down in Cremisa, where I am.
No, I don't know. I know they've been granted some sort of capacity, right?
And actually, they have been. It's been approved at the minutes, which we turned over, that they gave them permission, conditional, to tie in, providing the proper impact report was presented to this board, reviewed and approved. So they can't do anything until you review the impact study. And it was specific to impact, not technology, but impact to the sewer. And so that's what we're working under right now.
Okay. Now, what, as far as what
we
you...
just didn't want to impose a condition or go with a certain design if you had a policy or a preference one way or the other, because even though this is private property, it's still going to be your phone ringing.
Because I get calls. One of the things we do require something this size in commercial is that they have a maintenance program in place, provide with phone numbers, who to call in the case of emergency, and then some type of backup power.
Right.
We ourselves have a generator that one of our guys gets in and runs throughout the town emptying these wet wells throughout the town of Wareham for the customers that we have that have them. We take that responsibility, even though it's a private, we're paying for that and we're doing that, we're providing that service. So we would require of the developer that he has a program in place, that there's a maintenance agreement in place, and that maintenance agreement provides phone numbers to call in the event of a problem. And so that would be the responsibility of the association or whoever's in charge of that, and to have those numbers readily available and put out so everybody has access to them to make those phone calls.
However, if we do something like that and have individual generators and people have a maintenance program and people have this, inevitably, when's your generator break down? When a storm happens, right? I mean, you're gonna run into this situation with individual homeowners, and I can just see it being a real cluster, And I hate to add that added, cluster, if you might say, to the mix. I think the easiest way is to go with what you folks are saying is the gravity fed.
Mhm.
I know in your case it would be better to have the generators and that, but I just see the generators as another nightmare headache for the individual homeowner, and I just hate to put that on the homeowner.
Well, right now, the generator's not been offered. It's just switchgear for the generator. They could plug one in if they wanted to. But you don't have a policy in place, and
No.
I think I understand, Guy's policy or
No policy.
his feelings on the matter. So I think I got enough information to take back to the planning board.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They put in, George, will have backup power.
They've offered to put in the switchgear to connect the generator to, but let the individual homeowners worry about the generators.
But if they go with the central collection, right?
That's if they're
They'll
individual.
have backup power for that station.
If they do a central pump station, I would assume they'd have
Yeah.
that backup power.
Can you put that in at the planning stage or not?
We could put that in as a condition, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if they have put a pump station in, it would have to meet your requirements.
And we'd make them meet TR-16, which would mandate backup generation,
Yeah.
which they would have to have some type of backup
On the
power.
individual grinder pipe pumps, do they have to have 24 hours of storage or 38?
No, they have about 60 gallons. They don't, it's not
Yeah,
much.
it's
You
not
don't have much.
They're not much. No, they do
No.
not. That's another thing about these systems that when we put them in. Matter of fact, we have a lady down on Oak Street, a couple, and they decided to leave their pump system in because it had 1,500 gallons of storage. And I couldn't disagree with them because they had a pump chamber in and they were doing it. And I says, no, leave it in and just tie to us opposed to using what we're providing. The more storage you have, the much better. Again, if there's a power outage, because it's limited gallons, we'd have to get out there and keep pumping them down for them. They'd call us and we'd do that. That's a service we agreed to provide in the beginning of this process. So we'll continue to honor that.
All righty. Thank you for your time.
Yep, you got it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. But also, and it's really not my place, but I suggested to them that it's a marketing, when people buy it, you tell them what they're getting into. Make sure, because I think that's to answer to yours. It's one thing if I mislead you and don't tell you what you're getting into, then I come back and bang you. That would be unfair to everybody. But at the very least, tell you this is what you're going to face, and then you can make an informed, educated decision as a consumer. I think that's fair too.
Guy, have we seen this? They haven't submitted their impact statement to us
No, I'm
yet.
waiting for it. When I get the impact statement, I'll get it to you folks immediately. And then we'll give a couple, 3 weeks to have it on the agenda so I have plenty of time to digest it. I also send it for peer review to our engineers. It's peer reviewed. I get his comments, and then we can collectively decide as to what we're going to do for the impact, what we agree to, what we don't agree to, what further we want to do.
Mr. Barrett, would it be possible with the planning board's permission that perhaps you send us what recommendations or what you're looking at as far as the planning board goes. We haven't seen anything from the planning board. Have you done anything on that yet?
Well, we just got their latest version of the plans Monday night, so.
Okay.
Individual members are trying to go
Sift
through the
through it.
plan set now, so. What I can do, I can
Give us
get
a
a plan
copy.
set down to you, and you can look it over and see if you have any objections to what's there.
And what I'll try to do is I'll take it over to one of our local engineers and try to get it on electronically for you
Right,
and shoot you a disc. So you can
right.
review
Then
it
we
at
can
your
all take a
leisure.
look at
Yeah,
it and
absolutely.
see if we see anything, or if Guy points out anything to us that we, think, okay, or that you think is really a red flag. And then maybe we can develop a policy or work on a policy or do something that would, but we have to follow we have no policy now, and you're the planning board, so you have to kind of give us some direction into what you're looking for.
We're trying to make the project better, that's all. And
Yeah, I think the
we think this is a
I
negative
think the
point.
gravity system's better, George. And then, I know they're not foolproof, Guy, but maybe a grinder pump there too, just to help your product, a big one. I know it's not 100% foolproof.
But it's
It's
an
better than
improvement.
not.
It's better than nothing.
Because we just installed the latest, they call it the J, it's in one of our pump stations on 13th Ave. I believe it's Weebiantic, I don't know if it's Ave, but I get confused, but 13th Ave, I believe it is, because we have nothing but problems down there. And so it's been in for a week, and I'll give you a better answer on how that technology is working. This is brand new J, pump to help. And there's also have one that we're looking at that actually helps pass it and grind it. So we're trying everything new because it's a major issue for us.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Barrett.
Gravity works a lot better.
Well, this is the gravity system,
Thank you,
yeah.
George.
Okay, so the next segment we're going into is CZM Coastal Zone Management. They were going to be here tonight, but there is, they have been having issues getting the FEMA plan downloaded into their system to match it up. I think we all got an email about that today. I don't know if you had a chance to
I didn't
see
see
it.
it.
Guy can explain it a little more. So they will not be here this evening.
Well, and I want, Madam Chairman, I have the email because I wasn't 100% sure either. The way it was explained to me is they had to migrate the GIS and the FEMA plan together, which would give us a better product. So that's why I had him email an explanation, because he'd do a much better job than I could. But basically, this FEMA program that deals with mitigation, hazards mitigation, these type of issues, is a tool that FEMA requires if you're going to apply for any type of FEMA grant. And so what their thoughts were is that because we have to do the risk assessment, and it's a risk assessment program provided by FEMA, free of cost, that they felt that they should download that program, put it into their system, then migrate all the GIS, what they're trying to do and what they have done as far as the coastal zone management program, and then provide us with the risk assessment through that tool. And they thought it was a better, and I agree that it's better for the town of Wareham if in fact we're going to apply for grants to mitigate
Going
this.
forward, right.
Yes, so now their concern, or their problem, I should say, is making this work. And they're close, but they have to make it work. So they don't want to bring us, a report that is incomplete, nor do they want to give us a report without this program. Because we can say to them, give us a report without the program, and that's acceptable. CZM has no problem with that. But CZM also has no problem with them going one step further to give us an opportunity for grants down the road. So I'm asking the board to be patient and let them do this, and then once it's complete, we'll present it. And then I think it's a better program, a better product for the town of Wareham and their sewer users.
Right. And then we can use this program to apply for grants,
Yep.
so that it makes
Makes
sense
sense.
to hold off on that. Now, we have to vote for the EDU rate for fiscal year 2016, which will be the same EDU rate that it has been all along. It's already in the budget for fiscal year 2016. of $596 per EDU rate. So it's up to the sewer board to vote on that tonight. So we're gonna have to take a vote, so I'm gonna need someone to make a motion that we set the EDU rate for fiscal year 2016 at $596. Anybody?
Well, I move that we use the current EDU rate of 2015 for the fiscal year 2016, in the amount of $596.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second that we are going to keep the fiscal year 2016 EDU rate at $596, the same as it was in 2015. Any discussion on that?
But, Madam Chairman, I think it's important to the users that they understand that we don't want to implement the hybrid system until it's accurately portrayed and we have all the information in. And the reason we haven't gone with the hybrid as of yet is we don't have all the information. And we frankly don't want to jump the gun. We want to be able to educate the public on what we're going to come up with.
And we need to really look at a close look at the data available in merging with the water. We need to look closely with the data provided from the water department in terms of the amount of cubic feet used that we have, and to make sure that we're going to have some accurate numbers to be able to come up with a reasonable hybrid rate.
Because what we've seen so far is questionable, and there's a lot of issues that have to be cleared up. Sue and I just spent a couple of hours, and Sue brought up so many questions to them, and enlighten them on a lot of situations that we have to hammer out. And we want to do this right. We want to do it right for the rate users, and that's why we feel the need to go with the
EDU for at least another year.
For one more year. Anything else?
No, I think that's, and I'm just checking to make sure that the numbers that we were presented in the last hour, that the 596 should cover what it is that we need, so that's it.
And you feel they will cover?
Unfortunately, there was a discrepancy in that part of the spreadsheet as well when we were looking at it, that the columns data didn't get, the formulas didn't get transported over, so I'm going to hope in good faith that it is.
Because what they said is basically we should be going up, even when we come up with the rate, we should be going up 2 to 3% a year. And I think I'm a little concerned too that we're using last year's rate, but I think we're going to be okay.
Well, I believe this is already in the budget for fiscal
Yes, ma'am.
2016.
The 596, the 2016 budget is budgeted on the 596.
Okay.
Right.
So we'll be
It's
fine.
already
Okay.
done.
So we're
It's
gonna
a
be
done
fine.
deal.
Okay.
And I also want to tell the board that by bylaws, you can set the rate twice a year. There's 2 billing cycles, the beginning of each billing cycle. So if you felt we were short coming into January, you could convene and you could raise it a lot, whatever you chose to do. So, but it's based on, the 2016 budget is based on 596.
Okay.
So I think your decision is wise, and I appreciate it, and
Okay.
I thank you.
Then I have no problem with that.
Okay, so the motion has been seconded, discussion ended. We're going to vote that we set the EDU rate for fiscal year 2016 at $596. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Now, the next thing we have to vote on is the commitment for the first half of fiscal year 16 sewer usage billing. And you can give us a little brief explanation on that, Guy?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, it's pretty straightforward. We're billing half the year in this billing. Our billing cycle is from February 1 through July 31, then August 1 through January 31. And so we want to bill the first half 2016, which is $2,747,891.52.
Could you
We'll do the
repeat,
same billing again in January.
can you repeat that amount for me again?
$2,747,891.52.
So I'm just gonna ask for clarification on that so that I understand it is, so when bills go out in August, the half of the 596 that will be collected is actually for the beginning half of 2016's, right? Okay.
Correct. Yes, when the, so we're in the arrears, if you will.
Yep.
Service already been rendered, and now we're gonna bill for
Right.
it. Yes. And there'll be a second part to this coming, we'll call it omitted, for those that started after the beginning of the year. So if they started in March or June, we'll calculate those also. We'll come back from the omitted billing cycle to pick those up, because these are full 6-month billing, which you're looking for, which is in front of you now.
So the 2 million doesn't reflect anyone who's on a prorated because they began later, or?
Correct.
Okay.
It'll be added to, so we'll bring that to you at a later date.
Okay. So if I could have a motion that the commitment for the first half, the fiscal 2016 sewer usage billing would be $2,747,891.52, I think.
I'll make the motion.
Can I have a second?
Seconded?
Second. Okay, any discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second that we accept the commitment for the first half of fiscal year 2016 sewer usage building at $2,747,891.52. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? It carries. Okay, the next thing we have is the sewer superintendent's report. So Guy, if you could give us...
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'll try to be brief. First thing I want to bring to your attention, I believe everybody has a copy, is the pods manufacturers called me the other day, and they want to bring to us, at no cost to us, it's called an odor box, and we're going to mount it on the grounds, and it's going to have a continuous monitoring of odors, and we're going to program it. Sulfur-based, hydrogen sulfide, mercaptan, such and such, ammonia-based, whatever we choose to monitor, we'll program that box, and it'll give us the data of the actual levels of odors in the plant. It's a $23,000 piece of equipment. They're going to bring it there and put it on our plant at no cost to us. I have to bring power to it and put a pole to mount it. And I don't know what that cost is going to be, but it's ours to use indefinitely. And what it's going to do for us is give us actual hard numbers of odors 24 hours a day, help us figure out trends, when it could be more odorous or less odorous, maybe correlate that to winds, to station pumping, the pump station's going, whatever other parameters we feed into it. But I think it's a very good opportunity for us to get some hard data to address odor and odors at the plants. Plus, it may pick up other odors that we're not aware of. Suppose we have a biofilter not operating properly. It'll pick those up also. So I think it's a good idea.
Guy, will it monitor more than one type of odor at a time?
Yes, each sensor, you fill it full of sensors, and the sensors do their job, and so it can collect data for all the different sensors we decide to put in. And I believe they're going to limit us because they're paying for it, so I believe it's 4 sensors that we may be able to get. So each sensor has a cost, and it has to be programmed, so I believe he said they'd give us 4 sensors, and that's more than enough for what we need.
So the 4 sensors would be able to take in whatever smells it is that you, or odors that you decide we want to sniff for?
Yes,
Okay.
and then when in the programming process, you calibrate it with that odor, so they would do all that for us and maintain it, which I think is a great gesture. I mean, we paid them good money for the pods, and they're really having a hard time helping us try to solve the grease issue and the separations. They've also come up with some new filters that'll help that, so they're going to bring those to us. And so when we do our next transition, they'll provide those for us at no cost. And so this is just another tool they want to provide to us in our ongoing struggle with the odors of grease and whatnot. So I think it's a good step and a good gesture for a private company to come to us and say they're willing to do this.
This sounds great.
I have a question, the actual box, where's that going to be mounted?
We have to decide that. What we're gonna do is we're gonna look at prevailing winds or whatever, and we can move it. So I'm gonna put a pole up. I think he said it's gonna be about a 20-foot pole, and then we'll run electricity to it and they'll just monitor. I'm thinking on this side, as of right now, I'm thinking of the northwest side of the plant right now, because that's where we get 80 to 85% of our odors. So that to me would be probably the better place. But I would leave the experts to make that decision. I'll just tell them what we think, and then I'll let the odor guys, because they're sending a guy from France to do this. So I'll ask him for his opinion and how we should go about this.
So this would be a printed, hard data printed out, or do we have to monitor this, or is this going to be just,
Right now, it'd probably be a stick type thing, like a thumb drive. You plug it in, download the data, bring it to your computer, or bring your computer there, download it to your computer, then review it and do what you need to do with it. Because
Okay.
it'd be internally collecting the data, we just export it with a thumb
So-
drive or,
so if we got an odor complaint while this was running, and this is going to run 24/7,
yes.
so if we get an odor complaint, we can then go back and find out exactly what that odor was and kind of get an idea.
Absolutely, the intensity of it, we can make some decisions. It'll help us see flow rates. I mean, it'll just another tool in our toolbox to help us on our ongoing issue of odors. And so we can actually start to quantify it, you see, because everybody has different smelling abilities, if you will. Everybody has different thresholds of nuisance or whatever. So this will help us start to quantify it. So it's really a good tool. It's really a good tool.
Sounds good.
So I'll let you know as soon as it gets here. Contracts 1 and 2 are officially closed. Did everybody get a copy? I have a couple here if you need a copy of the letter we got from the DEP that officially closed contract 1 and 2. We're no longer in jeopardy of the 1.5 obligation, $1.5 million obligation. So I have that. If someone wants a copy, I'll give you one. So that's pretty exciting. That's closed. In your packets, you'll see some graphs from SmartFlow. SmartFlow has been up and running in the Wankinko Road. I guess it's actually going to be called Shore Drive, Shore Road, intersection of Bayview and Shore in Swiss Beach. And so I just want to give you an idea of what we're doing with that. And we found it very interesting. As you look at the graph, we can see the flow by gallons.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at you can see on the left-hand side, I believe is that the y-axis? Let me check my math expert, but it's the y-axis. You see it talks about gallons per minute. If you look at the x, it has time. And we're finding a lot of flow from midnight to 12 noon. We're finding a lot of evening flow. We're finding our max flows in the evening. And we don't know what that flow is. We don't know if it's tidal. We don't know if it's sump pumps. But we're finding a lot of flow in the evening. It's tremendous. So this tool is already beginning to pay dividends, because now we have to look at why we're getting a lot of flow in a residential community in the evening. Because we're trying to figure out about assessing our pipes. Now, one of the technologies we talked about in Swiss Beach was the E1 system, because it would allow us to be tight, no infiltration or inflow. Plus, it would allow us to eliminate sump pumps, because you can't attach a sump pump to it because your E1 pump cannot keep up with your sump pump. So thereby, we get rid of sump pumps, save us the hassle of regulating it, which is going to be a very difficult process of regulating sump pumps out of our sewer systems. So this data is helping us get there. But I wanted you to see that. It's very interesting. Digest it, and you can see it any time. I believe, or if I haven't, I'll send you my password into this system so you can monitor it. We also installed one at the intersection. I believe it's Pilgrim and Point. I think it is Point Road, and that's going to grab the Hamilton Beach area, because that's surrounded by water. And even though it's in the Smith pump station catchment area, we believe that because it's such a large area, it's not showing excess. And we think by monitoring in front of Hamilton, we'll see the excess that's coming into the system, which will give us another idea. Because our ultimate goal is to catch the high areas of infiltration inflow.
Right.
Instead of doing everything throughout the whole time, then we can go through town, catching the highs, lowering our infiltration, increasing our capacity, and doing it throughout the town, opposed to just dedicating millions of dollars to Swiss Beach. So this is why we're doing this. And the next one's going to be installed in August. It's going to be on West Boulevard, I think it is, which at the manhole that goes to Heinz Pump Station through the marsh. So we'll start looking at that area as to flow different times of the day. But I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention, because we talked about the flow last month, and this is the results. This is what we're trying to accomplish. We're capturing actual flow through those manholes. This is being done 24 hours a day. So again, for us, the peculiar part was that we're getting most of the flow. If you look at the holiday, July 4th, the big one, the month program, the smaller one here, but you'll see from July 4th, July 7th, our flow was mostly at night. It was tremendous. And during the day also, but for the 4-day period, we had 50 gallons per minute, 24 hours a day coming out of that facility, and that's only a little piece of the Ruggles catchment area. That's I think it's 5 streets. So this is why we're capturing this, to figure out where our biggest problems are. It's telling us we got an issue there, more than we thought, because we're getting flow around the clock at a high rate.
That was not a particularly high tide 4th of July. I mean,
I'm
it was
not so
high,
sure.
but it was not a killer high
I
tide.
can't tell you. The engineer right now is trying to start to correlate that
That's what I was
information.
trying to say. So that would be the next step, is to take this data, take a look at rain flow, take a look at tidal rates,
Absolutely.
and then try
Rain
to
events.
and try to correlate to see
What's happening there?
why it's
Why are we
coming
getting
in
that
there.
much flow overnight? Now, I'm sure some of it's, the holiday, people out, but not to be equal to the day. It's just a constant. If you look at the line,
Right.
it's pretty
Yeah.
constant, 24 hours a day for that entire week. And as you look for the rest of the month, you see the high peaks in the evenings also. So we have a nighttime issue, and we're trying to figure that out. So anyways, I don't want to beat that. I just want you to see that. We're pretty excited about it. And I'll give you the access to the website. And you can see, we have 4 of them, and you can see them operate.
Now, would you see, if we get Granicus up and running in terms of collecting data, the opportunity to then collect user data, the possibility to find out some of those solutions as well, or some of those issues, is, maybe post a survey and say, I mean, I don't want to ask exactly how many times they get up and pee in the middle of the night, but maybe,
No, you're right. Because
collect some of that kind of data as which the number of people that shower before they go, because then we would know also too if it was just regular inflow.
we could, if it's influence. You're absolutely right. And as far as education goes, we can suggest to them, because if you had a water system, softener system,
Right.
and you have a backflush, I guess you can program to the time you want it to go. That may be fine. I don't really know what
Right.
the issue is,
Right.
but if we educate the public and they know that we're seeing flows, then maybe they can help us solve the
Solve the
problem
problem,
also.
right?
Because there's a problem there, and we need to figure it out. Unless that area of town's up 24 hours a day. That could be the issue. I really don't know. But we're trying to solve it.
Yep.
Because that's flow coming to us.
Yep.
And how much of that is flow that we don't want?
Right.
And so that's the
Keep it
real
down.
issue, and we're trying to figure that out. Because remember, what's driving this is our capacity. Because one day in the very near future, we're gonna tell people there's no more capacity.
Right.
So it's gonna affect all development in the town of Wareham, because you have to go back to septic systems, which is going to be pretty crazy. Or treatment plants within a community or a development or what have you.
Right.
So to gain this capacity is really, really important to us. So that's why we're trying to capture it. And so to capture it, we have to understand it. And that's what we're trying to do, get a community understanding of it.
Great piece of data.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with it. More than I thought, I'm impressed with it. Odor misters are up and running and operating, and I don't know when our last odor complaint was. I'm going to venture to say over a week. We've adjusted it to minimize the cost. It's $500 to $800 per drum. We can use a drum in 3 days, or we can make a drum last 6 days. So it can be costly. So it seems to be working, and we can continue. We have the misters at the basin themselves and at the headworks. We're pretty excited about that. Also, Heinz Field, Narrows, and Depot, we've got the communication antennas up, the communication antenna up at the plant, and we're tying that into our SCADA system. And again, the ultimate goal is for the stations to talk to one another. And so not one station, only one station can pump at a time to the plant, and that would minimize or even eliminate the flow to the basin.
Mm-hmm.
So we're hoping to have that up and running pretty quick, so that we'll minimize the flow in, which is going to minimize the flow to the basin, which is going to take the grease out of the basin, so
Which
it's
is
a
gonna take the
win-win
smell down.
situation.
Yep.
So that's another thing we're trying to accomplish with the odor mitigation, and that's just about done. We replaced the meter at Springborn Pump Station. That's been a very problematic station. That station sees a lot of grease from the industrial park, from the mall. The grease is crazy there. It's greased up. If you look at the line of Toby Road, the grease is incredible. The invert is now, instead of being at the bottom of the pipe, it's probably 3 inches above the pipe. We got a camera truck stuck in there. and that's a $20,000 piece of equipment stuck in there because of the grease. So we're really picking, so we put new media to correct the odors. We're going to jet rod that line and see what we can do. We're adding a chemical that's breaking down the grease, but it's the main problem. I think once we get the grease program in place, it will help us. And then we can at least go after the individuals that are contributing and have them help pay for us to clean it up. So we changed that meter. We got a couple complaints. That's what drove us to change that, to check it and change it. We've done that. I also want to say to you that our Mass Maritime co-op student is busy doing the evaluation of the pump stations. He's working on the direction of Green Seal Environmental. It's working out really well. His major is facility management, and so it's a good tool. Matter of fact, they also have a second intern that's going to help with this program, not in product, but they're going to help out to keep her busy. So it's going to see 2 sets of eyes from Mass Maritime. We're really excited about that. So they'll generate a report for us, and we can incorporate this into our CIP for hard numbers, hard repairs, and incorporate that for your planning your 20-year projection for the increase you talked about in the sewer rates and what that equates to real numbers. We're also researching FEMA requires a hazard mitigation plan be adopted by the town of Wareham, approved by FEMA before they'll grant us money. We're looking for grant money to cover the basins. So we're talking to John Walczak. We put a call into him because we have an emergency management plan. We're trying to figure out what additional we can add to it to create a hazard mitigation plan and send it to FEMA for approval. Because November 7th November 8th is a deadline for this, to apply for this grant. So we're trying to fast track that to get that done because we have to have that plan. Without that plan, we can't even apply for the grant. So that's
Have you heard from the police department on that? Did you speak to him yet?
I haven't. Russ went there yesterday to talk to him personally and take care of it. So the engineer is going to sit with him because he has to review that plan and then compare it to what FEMA's looking for and see if we can add to it or do we need another plan. Because we don't know that. I don't know that and he doesn't know that. So we're going to compare what they want, what we have, and see if we can take that and just add to it. So we really don't have a direction right now. And after he meets with John and goes through the plan, then we'll have a definitive direction that we need to go.
Because time is of the essence on this one.
You're absolutely
Yeah.
right. November's here. I don't want to talk about it, but November's around the corner.
Does the fire department have a hazardous plan?
It's in, as I understand it, it's not FEMA approved, but I can check with them. Because it has to be FEMA, it means I have to send it to FEMA to approve it. So it has to be FEMA approved, and the plan, we were told, that would be incorporated into the town's emergency plan. So I can ask. Bob Ethier, the health agent, who's our hazmat coordinator for the town of Wareham, doesn't seem to think we have one, but we'll figure it out. Also on the clarifiers, we'll wrap that up tomorrow. There's specific paperwork we have to send. I have a copy of what they're asking from us if you need to see it. If you would like to see it, I'll give you all a copy. It's odor issues, permit issues, our billing process, all that has to be sent to state to get us on the SRF funding program list. Doesn't guarantee funding, it just allows us to get on the list to apply for funding. That's step one in anything we do, so we're trying to wrap that up, and we have to have that to them by next week. I think it's August 7th or 8th, which is next Friday. So Joe's meeting me tomorrow, we'll have that wrapped up, it'll be sent off to DEP, and then we'll see where the chips fall. It's a point system, and so if we get so many points, then we qualify to go on the list to apply for funding. And so that's how I understand, that's what we're trying to do. We'll have that done next week and be on that list. August 7th is the deadline. So that's all I have for a report, but the other things that's ongoing is I'm meeting with Mr. Sullivan to discuss the IMA. We're hoping to meet for lunch once a week when he gets back from vacation to start really tearing the IMA apart. I've also engaged Joe Federico to digest our IMA, to talk to the technical parts, would be loading issues, infrastructure issues, cost sharing, put some hard numbers to it so as we negotiate, or whoever negotiates, we have some hard numbers and some really good solid background to get, because I'm really concerned. You read the last IMA, there's a lot of words that scare me, you know, like if those to me are not solid words for them to comply to what we're looking for. If we say we want something specifically for our, let's say for our grease program, the IMA does not say they have to adopt it. They can adopt something like it or whatever, that we want to tighten that language up so they have to follow what we do. So I want the engineer to look at it and make suggestions to us on how to tighten this thing up. So we'll have that document and everything else and make the negotiation. So I'll be meeting with Derek and Joe and get that hot so we can pass it on to whoever's going to do negotiation.
Right, and Mr. Gioberti is the liaison person there, so
Okay.
any issues that you have with Joe Federico, that he says, okay, we've got to tighten this up, or it has to be passed by legal, or whatever, Mr. Gioberti is also our liaison to the Board of Selectmen with this. And when you bring it to us, I mean, we would like to see it all, because it's going to affect our sewer users and our rates. So we want to make sure we get the best possible agreement for not only Wareham, but Bourne as well.
Yes, ma'am.
And we want to make sure that every policy that we have, whether it's the fog policy or whatever, that Bourne has to adhere to it. It's not similar, not like, but exactly the same policy that we have, because they are using our facility.
That's correct.
And although they're paying us for it, they have to adhere to our rules and regulations. So there's nothing comes back on us and says, oh, well, gee, it's not in the agreement. I want this agreement ironclad, and I'm sure the Board of Selectmen want it ironclad as well. So it wasn't the last time it was written, and it did not favor Wareham at all.
And to your point, Madam Chair, I can contact Mr. Gioberti and maybe even be part of these meetings and all the conversations I have and be part of. So another set of ears and eyes certainly doesn't hurt. So to get a better product.
I think that would be helpful.
Yes.
I think that would be very helpful.
Okay, I think I appreciate it. That's what we'll do that. We made the second payment for resealer according to the contract. The tanks are being built. That's what the second payment initiated. The pad or the control panel is completed. We're adding SCADA to it. To make this run properly, and I don't want to get into it a lot, but you got to increase the hours. We run the plant 8 hours, we're paying, we may have to go 12 hours. Then it gets into overtime issues, and overtime by collective bargaining has to be shared, whether you're qualified or not, you still have to get the overtime. And so it's such an intricate piece of equipment, it makes more sense to put SCADA, so we can operate it without personnel and get out of that issue. And so we're adding SCADA to this process to gain that 4 hours for more treatment and to get a better product so we can have a better resale price. So that's we're in the middle. That's what's holding up the control panel, is we're adding SCADA to integrate into our system. We're also taking a trip, I don't know when, but we're going to drive to Maine. There's an individual up there that's offered to buy our product, so we're going to go see him, tell him what we're going to do. And he also does the same thing and other things at his facility. So our engineer and myself will see what we can add to our facility to maybe make it better. So we want to visit him. He also said there may be a byproduct we're making that we're throwing away now that he may be able to use. So I want to see how that is. So if I can sell more of the product and treat less and get rid of less, it's even a better situation. So I'll give you the dates I'm going up. I'm going up with Joe Federico. My truck seats 4. Anybody's welcome to come with us. I'll give you the date when Joe and I set it up. We'll set it up tomorrow and go and see what they're doing. And it's supposed to be pretty fascinating. They've been in the business of what we're trying to do for 15 years. And they've created a lot of different things, and so they're very knowledgeable. So it'll be a good trip.
Whereabouts Maine are you going?
I don't know yet. I really don't. We just talked on the phone. I get his email, and so he's going to give me the directions. I'll get exactly where it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's in Maine. I know that. So I know it's supposed to be a good drive, and it's out because he says we have no issues because we don't have any neighbors. So I said, okay, that's a good thing. But I just want to see how they do with the product that we're going to ship away to be incinerated. He said we can do something with that, and I'd like to see that because that may gain us some revenue.
This is the trip for January.
No, that's another trip. This trip is going to happen in the next couple of weeks because we're going in the summer. I don't go to Maine in the winter. So if you're thinking of coming, it's going to happen very soon. And of course, you know the outlay of the area, so it'd probably be good. We wouldn't get lost. I can assure you that. That's a good thing. So that's good. So I'll give you the address, and then we'll definitely go. So we're excited about that. And our new hire starts mid-August. We're thinking the 17th. She presently works for the Fairfield, Connecticut tax collector's office, and so she gave a notice, and so she's moving up here. She's from Plymouth State College in New Hampshire, and her boyfriend and her went there, and he's working in Mattapoisett. He's going to be the next surveyor, I guess, or whatever, as his capacity. And so it's a very good opportunity for her to come here. She's very knowledgeable. We just really, it's a good hire for us. We're really excited
Great.
about it.
Great.
And we're also supposed to get a transfer. We have one slot opening, and the town's going to transfer somebody into our department through the union. So we're going to have 2 more employees. It's going to help out because we're doing EPAC now, which is our maintenance. It's all computer-generated maintenance, and so there's a lot of data entry. And so data entry is both their background, so we're going to start having them enter the data, and so then we can close out quicker, and it'll really help our maintenance program. So we're excited about that. So mid-August is looking good. So we're pretty excited about that.
Great.
And that's all I have, unless you have anything for me, Madam Chair, and members of the board.
Now, what's the official position of this new person starting?
The official position is called Department Assistant 3.
That tells me a lot.
Yeah, and so what that means is, what this person, they're going to take care of the grease, so specific, they're going to take care of all the grease accounts, all the septic accounts, this individual we're hiring, because Lee's just can't do it all. They're going to take care of making sure that all the Board of Health get proper information from every hauler that comes into the facility. They're going to call haulers that come in, call their customers to verify per DEP and EPA regulations, to call to make sure the product is what they say it is. They're going to do counter. They're going to answer phones. They're going to help with the billing. They're going to do the EPAC. Rebecca is going to come off anything, and she's going to go 100% to the sewer commissioners to take care of everything. This new person is going to do acquisition. What I mean by that is our RFPs, procurement. We just got a new budget. We've got 7 procurement projects we have. It's going to require 7 different RFPs, 7 or more different contracts. RFPs take a week to 10 to 15 to 20 days to write per. And it's a really a laborious task. So to have 2 more personnel is going to help out tremendously. And also they're going to get more involved in the plant. We're going to put them in uniforms, because to do EPAC and maintenance, they got to see what the plant's all about. So they'll be in and about the plant, learning that. So they're going to be pretty busy, and there'll probably still be more work than personnel, but nonetheless, it should go a long ways to helping us. So we're pretty excited about that.
You mentioned also there was maybe a lateral transfer.
Yeah, that's the lateral transfer. One
That's-
person coming out, I believe it's the clerk's office, I'm not so sure, I believe it is, and they're going to transfer out of there to us.
So will she be full-time or part-time?
Full-time, yes, full-time. So we're getting 2 more full-time employees. So our staff will be 3 full-time employees, which is 37.5 hours per week, and 1 part-time, which would be Rebecca. She got rear-ended, so she's struggling today, so she went home early. That's why she's not here. But she promised she'd be watching, so we're thinking of you, Rebecca. So.
Okay, so, does anybody have any questions of the superintendent, or want any clarification on anything?
That's the closeout. Where it comes to say that's a copy, official closeout, because we were on the hook for $1.5 million.
Yeah, I got this one. Okay, could you stay with us, Guy, while
I'm
we...
not going anywhere.
Okay. I know you were down with Ty and Bond, Donna and Sue, today. Can you just give us an update on what went on and what happened?
Sure. We devised a long-term goal sheet to be able to put in place dates for tasks to be able to accomplish in order to actually come up with really looking at the hybrid rate over the course of up to like 2020. So we set up a plan, an extensive plan about timelines and things like that of when we want to put things in place, and then the legwork that needs to be done that goes along with those steps along the way.
Had he gotten any anything from the water department?
He was using the data that they had originally from the water department. There are still some missing pieces, so to speak, where our accounts do not match the water department accounts in terms of addresses. So there's a resolution that needs to take place for that still. We also discovered in some pieces of data that some of the single accounts, and this is something we'll need to discuss as a board when we start going into rates, but that the mobile home complexes have a, one sewer bill, because they're obviously get billed with one, even though they have multiple EDUs that they're paying. So when we look at going to the hybrid rate, we're going to carefully look down the list, because they should be paying multiple users fees, not a single user's fees, and then their gallonage on top of that. So there's quite a few pieces of the data that actually we need to thoroughly sit and analyze together, kind of with Donna and I and Michael, to really take a look down the list of data and reorganize some of it, so that we haven't, before we can actually set a rate into place, have a very accurate set of information of who's going to go up, who's going to go down, how much are people going to go up by, and then as a board we're going to need to discuss how do we handle that. How do we handle the fact that some people's are going to be dropping significantly, they'll be happy, but some of the other people's might be going up by 25, 35%, just based on the amount of gallons that are being used on that rate. So we have a lot of work ahead of us to do, but we have a kind of a timeline in place of how we want to do an additional meeting set up of what we're going to be looking for along the lines. And obviously one of the biggest things we started discussing was public education, and how we're going to notify the users that we're going to be switching to this rate, and what impact that might mean, and what it looks like in 5 years down the road of how does that look. So that's what we discussed. When anything
We
going?
briefly touched on the people that have irrigation systems, that they might want to look into additional meters, and that's something that has to be worked out as well, because who's going to pay for the meter? Who's going to pay for them to read it? It's there's a lot to be done, a lot.
We have this little sheet of everything that needs to be taken care of, so we're on it. So we have a meeting, second meeting scheduled up for
23rd? On the 9th, August 9th.
except the 9th is a Sunday night.
August 9th?
August 9th is a Sunday night, so I
Oh.
don't think he meant 9th. I think he
No, I
must have
guess
meant the 13th. I think his dates
August
were,
6th is a Thursday.
yeah, that would be next week. I think
No,
he's the following week should be the
2 weeks.
The
It's
13th.
2
the
weeks, yeah.
13th. Is
Probably the 13th,
August
yeah.
13th, yeah. So we'll be in touch with him.
So will you be meeting down at the sewer plant?
Yes, we'll be meeting again at 4:30 at the sewer plant. So,
Mhm.
and the office, the trailer was lovely.
Except-
Thank you very much.
Except we don't know the password.
Well,
We do
Marilyn
now.
texted it
Oh,
to me.
got it
so
now.
I got it now.
Okay,
So that's your update on that.
thank you
wanna
very
add anything
much.
else, Donna?
Can you provide me with a copy of that timeline?
Sure.
I'll copy it.
Yeah, no, I'm just looking at my pen scratching across it. You're not going to understand, but sure.
Okay. The next thing is the discussion of the letters to the Board of Selectmen for the use of town council. We do have to wait until the meeting minutes for that is are approved. But just so that the board knows, this is the letter that, it's a draft of the letter. If you have any other questions or you want to put anything in, that's the letter we're going to submit to them to ask for permission, so to speak, you might want to say, to meet with Mr. Bowen. So this is the letter, and on the back of the letter, I've got the access to town council policy statement. So once the minutes of this meeting are approved, then this will go off to Mr. Bowen. So I am going to ask for a vote on this, not the specific letter, but a vote that we do send a letter to the Board of Selectmen for access to town council. So if I can have...
So moved. I move that we send a letter to the Board of Selectmen requesting access to town council.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Carries. Okay, so if anybody has anything they want to add or put onto this letter, they can let me know. Um, as far as new business goes, I've been discussing with Rebecca. We are sending the bills out in the next 2 weeks. Lee is getting the bills ready to go out. And several of the people, the neighborhood people in the Linwood Ladd Avenue where there's been an odor, and others have said to me, gee, it would be could you put a little note in giving us an update on what's going on with the sewer department, the water pollution control facility. So we're looking into doing a flyer. So I'm going to need some input from everybody as to what you'd like to see put in the flyer. I saw the one that came from the harbor master. It was one sheet of paper. That's all it's going. We understand that if we put one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper in with the bill, it's not any extra postage. So anything we put on small printing, we'll probably have it printed up because that way we can get more information on it. So if anybody has anything that they'd like to put onto that flyer, before I send that flyer out, we will have another meeting. Everybody will get to see it, see if they want to add anything to it. But that's what we are thinking of doing. So I don't need a vote on that, I don't believe, because it's just, it's in the discussion stage. And the other thing I'd like a discussion on is perhaps an open house at the water pollution control facility sometime in mid to late August. We are going with the, it is soon, and it is summer, but I'd like to capture as many of the summer residents as possible. Because they are a big sewer user population. So if we do it in September, we do have the restaurant and the grease policy. We've been meeting with the restaurants in September, but I thought if we could do it on a Saturday in August, and just a walk through, whoever will put it in the newspaper that we are having an open house, and we can put it on our website.
I personally think that you're doing it too soon, and I don't think people are going to want to come out on a Saturday to walk the water pollution plant in the middle of the summer. That's just my opinion. I know I don't want to, but I mean, I'm just saying, do you think people are going to be that interested to come out in August?
Well, I've had a lot of emails asking for when are we going to have an open house, when are we going to have an open house. Now, if people don't want to come, they don't have to come, but
No.
for those who do want to come, we offer an open house.
But how many people are going to want to go out on a hot summer day to tour a water pollution? I mean, I know a summer person isn't going to want to do it probably, and it's just my opinion. I just think that it would be better attended in the fall.
Madam Chairman, let me offer this. We're wrapping up the pods. We started the PRO program that went into effect Monday. We met, and we're doing that. It's through the CZM also. Actually, I'm wrong. It's through the BPNE or BPNEP, whatever it is. I forget. Buzzards Bay, the estuary program. And we're hoping to wrap it up at the end of August. Joe Coster, we're inviting Joe Coster. We're inviting the state. Maybe we can invite some others to have at this open house you're suggesting, have a grand opening of this new process, this new nitrogen reduction system we're putting online with all the probes, and invite many people for that and the residents for an open house. We can probably have other things because to Vice Chair's point, sometimes it's going to be something. So if we have this program, the probes opening up, and other different things that would attract and maybe appeal to see also along with your story, maybe we can work on that aspect of it. And maybe get it done late.
When are they coming?
We're hoping to be done at the end of August. We've already started. We're hoping in 3 weeks we'll be done, and then invite the state in, because and the federal government, EPA, have them come in. Probably invite the same politicians that gave us the grant to come in and see where the grant money went. I just sent some pictures out to DEM in Rhode Island, and they're including their flyer, and they're putting a picture of the plant into it, and they're drumming up, because what we're doing here is pretty exciting. And they're hoping for it to be a model of many treatment plants, how to reduce nitrogen, not only reduce it, but to monitor it and be proactive and stop it before it becomes an issue. So we could probably tie that in with that as an open house. That's my suggestion. And I'll get more definitive on the date, but we're looking at the end of August to do this. So maybe that's something we can incorporate in your open house.
Okay.
So you're looking at the end of August to have what you're doing completed?
Yes, and have the state in to put it online, because that's officially put online.
Okay.
And so we want them there for this, because they helped us get the money, 75% of their money from them in the federal. So we're also going to ask Congressman Keaton to come back to see this, because he gave us the grant, our local politicians, our local selectmen, because it's a big deal. And to get the grant was a big deal, and so we want to finalize like that. And Joe Costa's already agreed through the BPNE program, the Buzzards Bay Estuary, he's already agreed to do that. So we'll try to drum as much as we can, and have other activities we can think of, because there'll be more than just.
Yeah, and that gives us more time to plan out in terms of having other activities to have people come in as well, rather than just say, come on in and take a walk through the storage treatment plant.
So, yeah, I agree with you. So,
To me, that would make sense to coordinate the whole thing
Yeah.
together in one. We're already going to invite those people and bring something specific. We don't want to be reinventing the wheel to do an open house on a different date, rather than to combine it with this. Oops, sorry. I said, I think it'd make more sense to do it in conjunction with what Guy is already suggesting, because otherwise it's like reinventing the wheel
Right.
if we do this at a different
Right.
time.
Agree with
Do
you.
one shot and
Yeah,
do it up a little bit, and, have the balloons and the cotton candy, and
Yeah,
we're going. Our camera truck. We're training next Thursday. We can have that available.
yeah.
They can run the camera, see how that
Yeah.
works. And we can put on quite a bit of a program. We've got some vac truck we can have up and running. We got a new jet rotor. There's a lot of things that we could be interactive with and make it a good day, and to your open house, and have an event. Make it an event and have some people there too.
And the fog meeting is actually on a Monday anyway, correct?
So I believe it is a Monday. I
It's a
forget the
Monday
date.
you scheduled,
it's the
because I said I
21st
won't be able to be
or something, yeah.
present because I'll be back to school.
That's
So
in
if you,
September.
I'm even
September
thinking if,
21st,
I'm
I
even thinking if you picked like the second week of September, second weekend of September or something, if you can coordinate with the state at that point, it wouldn't be,
I think we can be flexible, but the point I'm making is that we can get a lot happening
right,
for that
with
open
a little,
house.
with a little
make
more,
it an
with a little
event.
more planning than just saying a weekend in August, which is
Absolutely.
next week,
Absolutely.
so.
That's
I think
fine.
it's a
Okay.
worthy venture.
I know, first, that's right, first
I
is
like
this
it.
weekend.
All right, so we'll
Table that?
table that, and Guy will let us know exactly when that was up and running, and he'll keep us informed on that. I did get from, as far as new business goes, I did get from Treasurer Foster another one of these waiver of summons. This is for 2 Pyers Street, a waiver of service for the Board of Sewer Commissioners. They must have, they've asked me to sign it, so I'm gonna take a vote. I can pass this around so everybody can see it, but it's a waiver of service for the summons so that the court doesn't
We don't have to pay
have to
for it.
send it out. It saves the town money. So if I could have a motion that I can sign this.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, I'm gonna sign this for Mr. Foster. And then the last thing I have is the next meeting and date. I am wondering what the board's pleasure is on meeting every 2 weeks for the months of August, September, and October.
I make a motion, we meet every 2 weeks.
Okay, except for next week, we have to meet on the 6th. So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on meeting every 2 weeks for September, every other week on September, October?
We can always have it. We can always post a meeting in
Yeah,
between.
Yes.
if something
Yes,
comes
If
up.
there's a real need.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm going to give everybody a copy of our schedule and the vote, the motion. We have a A motion and a second that we will meet every 2 weeks, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Carries. So we will be meeting
Okay,
every other week.
but we'll be meeting
But
next.
we are meeting on
next
the
week.
6th, which is next week.
Right.
But after that, it's every other week.
Okay.
And we have a set schedule now.
Rebecca always triggers it anyhow.
Yes, she
Her
does.
notes.
Her notes.
That works
Okay,
good.
so I guess that's the end of that, so if I can have,
Make a motion to adjourn?
yep, and it's-
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? We are adjourned.
Very good.